Yo, I hope you guys are doing fantastic today. This video is going to be an episode of the New World to Go podcast. This is a podcast that we've been recording for 3+ years now. You can find every episode anywhere podcasts can be found. So over on Apple Music, on Spotify, etc. Anywhere that you can find your podcast or you listen to podcasts, you can find New World to Go. We have not been posting the video version of the podcast, but I've had several requests to do so. So that's what this is going to be. This is a video version of the podcast. So if you guys like this, please make sure to let me know in the comments below, and I will continue to post these on the channel. If not, then we may not post them anymore, and you can just listen to them via audio form. But if you do like it, please make sure to let me know so that I'll know to continue to post them. But thank you guys so much for being here. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host Redbird, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, look, we're here. We're on time. Every 2 weeks, we said we'd do it. Today's the day. We did it.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that?
We're punctual. We're great. Yeah. We nailed it. Yeah.
We did. We have a little short show today. Not a lot of news, but I think there's some big things to talk about. The main thing is the PTR that just got posted, I think, last week. But we do have some new Forged in Eternum videos as well, and we're going to discuss our thoughts on the leaderboards, the most recent, the most recent addition to the PTR. Which obviously is I think a mixed bag at this point. So Bordy, let's hop right in here with the news. We got two Forged in Eternums this week. One was the community in 2023, and the other was the Forged in Eternum, why some features are hard. So let's start there, Bordy. What do you think about the frequency of these Forged in Eternum videos? And,
they're fine.
And the content.
Oh, sorry, cutting you off there. Yeah, they're fine, man. I mean, I think these are kind of a mixed bag, right? Like some people like them, some people hate them. It is what it is. Like I like them. Some of them are like pretty insightful. Some of them are not so much. But there was a post, I think, on Reddit or the forums. I don't know. I've seen it somewhere, and they had to clarify that these videos are like recorded in batches, and so then they're released. So whenever we get something like the why features are hard thing, seems like it's directing towards issues that are now, they said, but oftentimes those are like things that happened a long time ago, and they're just addressing them then. So yeah, I don't know. They're fine though. I like the longer dev form, where they're like diving into actual features of the game much better. I know you're not a big fan of these Forged in Eternum things, so you probably don't care about the frequency of them, but they're fine. What are they giving us? Like once a week now, I think, for these things?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't watched.
I just watch them when they pop up
in a while. I don't like. I've never, and we've talked about this on previous episodes. I think I don't never really like the behind the scenes stuff on DVDs. I feel like this is what this is like the behind the scenes of developing New World, and I just, I'm looking for new information. That's about it out of that content. So it is what it is. I'm glad that they're making them, and I'm glad there's other people that enjoy them, but I'm just not one of the target audience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now I would be mad if they just like replaced the dev blogs or whatever with these. Then that wouldn't be a good move. But these are just in addition to. So it's like, watch them if you want. Don't watch them if you don't want to.
Right. Exactly. And the next bit of news is the PTR. PTR was updated. Everybody asked for PTR updates, Bordy, and we got them. The problem is we got one thing new, and it was leaderboards. Or I guess some people may not see that as a problem, but I think most people do. So we both got in there on day one. We tested the leaderboards. That was it. There was no. I mean, the only new thing on the the PTR is leaderboards right now. So let's first off, what's your first impressions of the leaderboard system in the PTR?
Dude, I'm gonna be real honest here. I'm having a very hard time getting excited about leaderboards. To me, they're like, I don't know, man. It just doesn't add anything to my gameplay value. I don't really care too much about them. I think they're fun if people want to grind towards it. It gives people an additional thing to do, I guess. I'm just having a hard time getting excited about them. And then we all know the problems that are glaring out there at the leaderboards right now, that who knows if they're going to fix them or not. I hope they do. I hope they adjust the way that we get rewards for leaderboards. We can talk about that in a minute, I'm sure. But I don't know. I'm just having a hard time getting excited about them. I think a lot of people were under the impression, dude, that we were about to get healing circles on the PTR. We were about to get these big balance pass on the PTR because they kind of hyped all these things up, and all the community was very excited about these new changes coming because those are a big deal. And then we got leaderboards and nothing else. And so I think it was kind of a shock and kind of a disappointment to a lot of people, but it is what it is nonetheless. I spent probably, I don't know, an hour on the PTR, much less time than I usually do because I just did not care Yeah, I mean, leaderboards are leaderboards, man. You know, what am I going to do over there? So I just got on there, played a couple of arenas, got my name on the leaderboard, and then seen how it worked, and then got off. You know, that's about all there was to do.
Yeah, I mean I think that's the problem with leaderboards. Is it's hard to test. I think more people would be willing to test the leaderboards if they were aside of the things we were talking about, the weapon balances, the healing circle, and the graphic changes for the enemy spells. Those things would basically make it worthwhile to test the PTR, and then obviously the leaderboard would be running in the background. I will flex real quick. I was the leader in arena kills for at least like 2 or 3 hours, so that felt pretty good.
You're such a monster, man.
Until people figured out how to cheese the leaderboards, and then just basically scuff all the OPR and the arena leaderboards, which I think is another scary thing. I think that's what's going to happen on live. I think someone's going to find a way to cheese the scores, and that's what they're going to do. They're just going to sit in there and cheese them. So the value of the leaderboards is going to be pretty diminished by like some not like true exploits, obviously, like not things that are like cheating or breaking the game, but things that just like, things that you can do to make your score higher that aren't really in the best interest of winning or helping your team, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, of course. If they leave them like they are now, it's going to be completely scuffed, man. Like nobody's going to care about leaderboards. It's going to be completely scuffed. I was streaming the other day, had this group come in. This is before leaderboards were even like, I mean, they were announced a long time ago, but this is before these leaderboards like came onto the PTR, and this was announced that they were going to be on there. And there was this group that came in, and they were just stat padding on purpose. And they came in with a group of 5. I think it was just a group of 5, group of 10. I'm not sure, but they came in with a big group. They had one healer. They had other people sitting around. They were running around the edge of the map. About 4 minutes into the OPR, I opened up the leaderboard, and there was 60. This dude had 60,000 points. Red 60,000 points in the OPR. Okay, so I'm like, what is this guy doing? Has to be exploiting, right? So I make it my mission then to run around the map and look. I didn't know he was watching the stream. The whole group was watching the stream, and they were moving, so I couldn't find them, right? So I never did find them, and then after I found out what they were doing, that guy scored 99. He was like 600 points away from 100,000 points in OPR. He scored 99,000 some odd points. That's where it's going to get real scuffed. And what happened to that OPR is like all of them were running around on the outskirts of the map. They were on our team, so our team was running around incredibly shorthanded, and so the OPR was just like this run. It just wasn't fun. Made the OPR trash is what it made it, right? And like, they were just out having a good time. I'm not mad at them for doing it or anything like that. It's just like that's what I foresee this turning into. Everybody's going to go in there trying to achieve the leaderboard standing by padding their stats, by sitting in Baron Pit and shooting. Like it's just going to be silly, man. And then there's going to be deals made, and I can already see it now. There's going to be deals made in OPR where people are whispering somebody else, and they're going to go run off to the side of the map and try to do a stat pad. And I don't know. There's already enough of that going on, man. I don't like the way leaderboards are set up right now at all. I think it's going to promote a lot of just toxicity and not fun gameplay at all. I think it's going to kind of suck, really.
Well, and I think they definitely need to work on the like types of boards that they put on there, because a lot of them right now are like kills and just like they promote behavior that isn't necessarily like indicative of the actual spirit of the event. Like OPR,
how many points captured in OPR?
Yeah.
How about a reward
points
for that?
captured or stuff like that in OPR. I think that where they can really make a big difference with these leaderboards, I don't think they're all negative. One of the big differences they can make is in open world PvP. I think that can be an interesting leaderboard and make people want to go out there and do open world PvP. I think we both agree that that's one of New World's best best forms of PvP is when you're out there in the open world, like getting to, do 1vx or, and stuff like that. That doesn't happen a lot anymore. There's not a lot of reasons to do that other than to push territory, which everybody knows is pretty monotonous at this point. So hopefully the open world PvP one can bring some spirit to the game.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be nice. I mean, anything to promote more open world PvP would be fantastic because I do agree New World's PvP shines in, like, in my opinion, in like open world and small scale. That's where I really like the PvP in New World. That's where I think it is very much unique. That's where I think it's a lot of fun. Just the random encounters in the open world and then small scale PvP. I feel like New World really shines in that area. So anything to promote open world PvP, I'm here for. So hopefully the leaderboards will help promote that. That'd be great.
Yes, yes. Another one which was interesting, I was actually a little bit saddened by, was like the PvE, like the crafting gathering side of things. I mean, there wasn't any gathering ones, which I think people are worried about bots and bots being the leaders on those boards. Maybe that's why they didn't do it initially, is because they don't want to expose that, you know, X79251 is out there and is out there in Windsward skinning rawhide. Yeah. Yeah, maybe they don't want to reveal it. But yeah, no gathering leaderboards. Did that surprise you?
It did a little bit because I was under the impression that those were going to be a thing, but I do agree. I think the reason they didn't add them is because of the bots. Like, that is an issue, and bots would be on top 100%. They're out there gathering 24 hours a day. They would be on top, and I think it would definitely be a challenge to mitigate that on their end, probably. So yeah, it did surprise me a little bit that it wasn't there, but I don't know, man. I don't really care if it's there or not. I'm not going to go out and compete in the gathering leaderboard, but I think a lot of people might have. I think there are a lot of people that enjoy gathering in New World, but I don't think they'd ever be able to compete with the bots for sure. What do you think about the crafting one, though? The legendaries, the way that works. As far as I know, and this could be wrong, but as far as I know, the way it works is that the amount of legendary items you craft, that's the number that goes on the leaderboard. So if you craft 10 legendary items in that period, if somebody else only crafted 5, you'll be ahead of them. Is that how you understood it too?
Yeah, that's one of the one of the boards on the crafting side is legendaries. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's going to be interesting if these are going to be viable at all. You know, just the same as like with the gathering with bots, the crafting legendary thing, it seems like that would be pretty scuffed with the guaranteed like patterns. Like, I don't know how that works. They're all, you know, you can guarantee a legendary at the pattern. And then the rewards on another thing that I think was cool, but also concerns me a little bit, is the rewards that you get from being the leader. I mean, there are different like transmog pieces of items that you're going to get from doing these activities and placing in the top 10 and the top 5 or the top 50 or whatever. And again, that rewarding these sort of behaviors can be a little bit concerning for the game, you know, especially the OPR, the PvP side of things. You know, adding a reward for the people that play in that manner can be dangerous.
Well, yeah, absolutely. That's why I think the leaderboards are a little bit scuffed, and why I don't think a lot of people are going to care about them at the end of the day. I think they're a vanity metric more than a competition metric, or at least the ones that are in there now. And I hope that they get feedback from the PTR. I will be giving some for sure, and I hope they get that and adjust accordingly, because right now the leaderboards are completely like kind of scuffed, man. They're going to promote more toxicity, I think, in the game than what's already there. And one of the things also I hope they change and adjust is that right now there's no rewards for 3v3 arenas on the leaderboard. There are 3v3 arena leaderboards, but on the PTR right now, there's no listing for any kind of rewards for the 3v3s, which in my mind, that's like one of the prime areas that you would want to reward, because that looks like that's like eventually that could be one of your most competitive playlists, right? Like 3v3 arenas in my mind is the place you'd want to have like ELO or MMR or something, and eventually, and right now they're not rewarded at all in the leaderboard. So that's very disappointing to me. If they don't add some rewards there, I'm going to be a little bit tilted, because that's, if I were to go try to compete in any of them, it would be 3v3. But all the other ones, dude, I don't care. Do you care about them? Like, are you trying to compete in leaderboards? Do you care about this at all?
Well, I want the cosmetics, so yeah, I will try to do a lot of them. But like you said,
I don't care.
Well, I mean, I guess what else is there to do? That's my kind of point too.
Yeah, true.
It's like you know, you can only run. I think I have like 200,000 umbral shards at the moment. Like, I'm just doing M10s for the loot at this point. You know, there's not much to do in the game in its current iteration for players that have been here on legacy servers for a long time. So adding a leaderboard, I could see like myself pushing a different leaderboard each month, or trying to get the 3v3s, or trying to get I do think they're going to reward those 3v3s, by the way. They did mention that they didn't have all the rewards in at the moment, but they will soon get them in before the leaderboards release. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'll probably try to do some of them just out of, not boredom, but I'm not going to have anything to do in the game.
Yeah,
So.
which I think is one of the benefits of the leaderboards. I think you make a valid point there. Is like all of us that have been playing the game for a really long time, and I feel like there's a pretty big, and I could be speaking completely out of pocket here, but I feel like there's a decent population out there that has been playing the game for a very long time that's still stuck with it, like the core people. And so this will give some of us something to do if we wanted to go that route. I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time really caring too much about them. One thing I hope they don't do, and I haven't seen this anywhere, maybe you have, is the achievements. Are they tying achievements to leaderboards? Because I know that's been an ongoing discussion. The title, the cosmetic, I think are great. I think if they add an achievement to leaderboards, I think that's completely scuffed. And I hope they don't go that route. Yeah, I really, really hope there's not an achievement tied to that title, because if they do that, that's gonna, man, all the people that are out there trying to be completionists, that's an area that they like literally will never get, and they know they'll never get that. They'll be, yeah, man, it's just not a good thing to do. You got to make those achievements at least obtainable. You can make them hard, but you got to make them obtainable for every person, or else people are gonna get real mad.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point, because, there will be a side of the completionist. But I know there's the same problem in World of Warcraft. People with the gladiator achievements and stuff, the PvP arena thing, people have complained about those a lot. But, at the same time, it is cool to have like a certain title or something on your character that maybe other characters could not achieve without, a certain level of like, it's easy to like perform in these different sections of the game, but it's not always like easy for people to enjoy them, right? I don't think I think there's a lot of people that don't like PvP at all, that play MMOs, and I think if New World is successful, they need to capture that audience. They need to get that audience in the game, and I think that's one of the dangers with leaderboards is you're promoting certain activities that maybe people don't want to do. Which, most people would say that's fine, like they don't have to play it, but there are like you said, the completionist people will get upset about that. But I'm not sure how much you care or how much we should care about their attitude or you know what I mean. It's kind of one of those things. It's like it's a mixed bag, right? Some of those people, like, they understand that they are not going to get everything, but you will get the people that complain about having to do arena or whatever for gypsum or for arena rewards or for then again the leadership or the achievements too. So I don't know. I don't think that's as big of a concern at this point, is having some achievement tied to the leaderboards. But as long as it's like perpetual, right? If it always says like finish top 5 in the arena leaderboards, and then that's the only achievement, I think it would be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't have that big of a deal with it. I just see that being a problem, right? Like I don't really care too much, but if it does give you something to work towards, I just think that you got to be careful whenever you're skirting the line of achievements in a video game. People do get really angry because a lot of people play a game to try to 100% it. I don't know what the population, maybe not a lot. Maybe there's only like 2% of the people that play that do that or something. I don't know. So it probably doesn't matter that in that big of a sense. At the end of the day, like, just make the game fun and meaningful, and people will play it. I don't, or completionist or not,
Right. Yeah, and I think that should be the main goal of leaderboards, is to get people interested in activities and keep them playing it year or like month after month. Because it can be a big deal to reset the leaderboards for arenas or something if you got a lot of arena enthusiasts. I personally am concerned about just the activity as a whole, because I can't, even on Orofina, which Orofina the population started to get lower, I can't get an arena fight half the time. I can't even get in there to do it. So it's like, how meaningful are these leaderboards going to be when we get to do like one arena match a day or whatever? There's the cross. I think the leadership or the leaderboards would be much better tied into or put along with these cross server activities. That's when it starts to get more interesting for sure. But I mean, right now, like, I don't know, some of these, especially arenas, I don't know how many people are going to actually compete in them to begin with.
Yeah, the arena community is very, very small, and I'm kind of in that community. I love to play arenas, man. It's one of my favorite activities in the game. I really, really do enjoy them. Yeah, I think the problem with arenas is that the rewards are not there, right? People would rather go play OPR for their gypsum, for their OPR cash, for their PvP reward track experience. You just get rewarded better whenever you go play those versus sitting in a queue for arenas for 15 minutes. You play the arena and then you don't get a lot out of it. I think that's part of the problem with arenas, and I don't see leaderboards helping that at all. Like, I don't think people are going to be like chasing after the arena leaderboards, and that's going to just liven up arenas. I don't think that's going to really matter too much, which is unfortunate. But I wish they would do something to liven up arenas, because they are fun. The small scale activities in New World are fun, or at least fun to me. I like them a lot.
Yeah. We'll see how. I mean, obviously, neither one of us think that the leaderboards is going to be the only thing on the PTR this month, right? You don't think that? You think they're going to add more?
They'll add this. They're going to have to add the balance stuff and the AOE color changes. They're going to have to add all that. Like, they've already hyped that up. They said it was going to be on there soon. That has to hit. Then I would imagine leaderboards and all those things will go live at the same time, is my guess.
That's what I thought too. Like the weapon balance / enemy spell, and really, like, at this point, the the enemy spell color thing is, like, I mean, literally like a year overdue. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But at the same time, like, I can't tell you how many times I've raged out, like, completely, like, come close to breaking my fist on my desk when I run into when I run into an enemy shower, an ice shower. I have no idea if it's bad or good. Or when I'm standing in or if I jump into, like, a sacred and then just die because it's an enemy sacred. Like, it's like that stuff should have been in at launch, if we're being completely fair. The idea of not being able to tell the difference between a friendly and an enemy spell is poppycock. So hopefully that gets in ASAP. And then obviously I think a lot of people are looking for the weapon changes too. So that will make a good patch, and hopefully one that people will come back for. But the leaderboards, I really don't feel like are enough to bring people back. So
No, I don't think anybody's coming back for leaderboards. It might help retain some people, but even then, I don't think it's a big enough deal to even do that. Later on, I think you had a good point that eventually leaderboards could have that retaining factor, because people want to log in and try to compete on the leaderboards, and it could be good for the game long term. But right now, I just don't, in its current state, I don't see it doing a whole lot, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So here's the next topic. Is in one of the latest Forged in Eternum, the devs talk about adding options to adjust attributes and mastery points, along with gear set implementation. Is this something we'd like to see in the coming gear sets, or do we want to just have gear sets so they're quicker? So this is interesting to me in a way that I really do think this is more of like a character loadout than a actual, like, the gear set thing. But this is New World's an interesting territory, because I think it doesn't have classes. Everybody can do everything. It would be nice to have like a little bit of I think a wardrobe in your house or whatever that allows you to equip like an entire setup in a flash. But I at this point, I just want at least somewhere to like better search my inventory and gear sets and stuff like that. So I'm not going to ask for anything extra, as long as I get that, because we all know the pain and suffering it is to manage your inventory in New World. So
yeah, it's awful. It's one of the worst parts of the game. So I know you haven't watched these Forged in Eternum videos, but this one was interesting. This little tidbit was interesting, because I didn't think that like adjusting attributes and mastery points on the fly was really on the radar. They implied that was something that's coming into the game. They implied that this is going to happen, but do we want to hold off and implement this later with gear set and roll it out all as one package, or do we want to just roll out gear sets and then this later? And I thought that was interesting, because I didn't even know that was something that was talked about, really. And to me, that would be amazing, because think about running through Starstone Amrine or Eniad or whatever, and you switch out gear, and one of your weapons might have strength, one of your weapons might have dex, whatever, and it scuffs up your attributes, it scuffs up everything. It would be so nice to be able to press a hotkey or something and quickly switch in and out of those. If they're gonna have mixed bag expeditions like that, they have to have something like that in, or else it's an absolute pain in the rear end, man. It sucks.
Well,
I hate
essentially bad design.
gear.
Like,
It's awful. Yeah, it's awful. There's no reason. First, there's really no reason to have mixed bag expeditions anyway, because you make us have all this Bane and Ward gear anyhow. Then you mix them together. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, that's brutal in and of itself. But it would be much more doable if we had a one button press, so we could adjust attribute points, mastery points, and gear all at the same time. However, I am very much in the camp that they just need to implement gear sets first and then roll that other stuff out with it later. We need inventory management in a bad kind of way. I can't even, for Pete's sake, move my items around in my inventory, and it tilts me every time, dude, that I have items scattered around. It's awful. We need inventory management in this game so bad. It is something that I couldn't be more excited about, that's coming into the game hopefully soon.
well, and that's to your point. I think it's very interesting that, number one, we're in these timed M10s, and someone thought it would be a good idea to require people to switch sets multiple times and respec and eat a different food. And it's like, bro, what the... Like, I literally, like, lose my mind every time I run an M10. I that requires me to change gear and stuff. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And then the fact that, like, I'm with you. Just get the gear sets in at this point. Don't delay them anymore, because at this stage in the game, like, you have to change gear so much. Whether it's I probably change gear and respec my attributes like 10 times a day. You know what I mean? At least it's one of those things that it isn't great design, and I would like to see them. Same with the enemy spells colors. It should have been in the game at launch, probably.
You're back on this train, dude.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Somehow we reverted back to the enemy spell colors so much.
I mean, I'm just saying
it.
things that just, like, they're quality of life things that are really a pretty big deal. So we just got to get them fixed, I think.
Yeah.
Sooner the better.
Are you ever in an M10 and you're trying to switch gear and you're stuck in combat and you're just trying to push your gear over?
Every day.
Double click that gear and you can't get it because you're stuck in combat?
I'll do it so many times that the notification will go on for another 5 minutes. I'll just sit there and try to swap my hard gem or whatever, and then, like, for 5 minutes as I'm running the M10, it just keeps saying, you can't equip that now. You can't equip that, because I tried like 30 times to equip my new hatchet or something. It's rage-inducing. And the thing about it is it was designed that way. That's what's kind of crazy. It's not even like a bug or anything. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just, all this stuff I just want to see as soon as possible. I'm not going to, like, obviously it is what it is at this point, but, like, I don't want to see anything delayed to add any, like, extra stuff. I would really like to go ahead and get that done. Another complaint. Someone in chat brought this up. I'm sorry. I'm, like, on a tear right now.
You are, man.
We got to figure out the trophy system.
Really
this is my last complaint about the game. Other than, well, no, this will be the last one today. The trophy system and the town buff system needs to go away. I'm tired of it, dude. I am very tired of having to switch my trophies that I grinded for. I have to go travel around every time I want to craft something or run a new mutation to hang up a trophy. And then I have to wait for Joe Blow, who owns Brimstone, to put up a buff. It's like, for the love of all things good, I own all these $20,000 houses, and I can't get a town buff to save my life, Bordy. I can't craft anything because no one's putting up town buffs.
Did you eat a bowl of my cereal this morning, bro? Because you're like, listen, man, the roles have flipped here today. This is a good one.
I'm just airing out my grievances.
It's
a short podcast. I figured, why not today? You know what I'm saying? Why not today?
I couldn't agree more with the trophy thing, though. But it is very, very rage inducing. To have to, like, switch them out. Whenever I see a system like that, I ask myself, like, okay, what was the purpose of this initially? Was this to add additional, like, depth to the gameplay? Like, why was it implemented this way to begin with? Because what value does that add to my gameplay? And to me, it's like it just takes so much value away from the gameplay experience to have to travel around to each house to adjust a trophy. So I couldn't agree more, man. It does suck, but it goes back to the Forged in Eternum. They posted why some features are hard to implement, which was an interesting one. You should go watch that one, man. There's a lot of negative thoughts rolling around the community about that particular. About
the title is the reason I didn't watch it.
Well, it's almost like a direct troll to, not even a troll, like just a direct like response to all of the complainers in the forums and on Reddit, which, listen, I understand, man. If I were them and I was trying to get on the forums and Reddit every day, and that's the feedback that I seen every single day was just this mound of like the devs suck comments all the time. I mean, sure, it makes you want to post that type of stuff, but I can also see the community's perspective of, man, this sounds like a lot of excuses coming from the devs, because it was just a weird video, man. It was an odd take, and I don't know jack about development. I'm sure it does take an incredibly long time to develop this stuff, and I have a massive amount of respect and admiration for the devs. I think they do handle things pretty well in most situations, but right now I feel like we are also in an era of like, man, there's so many small things that have added up over the course of this game being released. You can just sit here and tally them up, man. I could go on a massive rant about how many things are still in the game that just seem like from a community perspective, it's like, man, those things really like why, like why are these things just continuously adding up and they're not getting addressed in a timely manner? And I think that's where the community like outrage comes from. And then every time there's a new thing that comes up, it's just adds more fuel to the fire, and so there's just this massive negativity. And so now the New World community is turned into a pretty toxic place to be if you ever visit the forums or Reddit. It's nothing but toxicity out there.
Well,
so it's been an interesting past, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months here.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I don't really like, some people are like toxic on like in a way that isn't productive. I believe providing feedback is a good thing and should be done. To the point about the dev videos, that's the risk they take about making these videos. Is like, you're doing these once a week, and if you're responding to negativity like that, we all know if you're a streamer, and I'm guilty of this pretty regularly actually. If you that one dude, if you get one guide in chat that says one stupid negative thing, and you focus on that guy and whatever, it ends up like actually just creating more negativity than positivity. So yeah, I didn't watch that particular video just because of that, that
I never
topic.
Do that. Yeah. I never do that. I never go on rants. I never do that, dude. Shame on you.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. That's all I can do. But here's the thing, Bordy, I can just apologize.
Person, man.
And one thing that I will say is that, they have to improve upon this in year 2, because this is something that people have had trouble with this game a lot, and I believe it's one of the things that they had a lot of problems with. Reason why they didn't retain a whole lot of players from the Brimstone and the Fresh Start server thing was the I guess the transparency or the action in which they took to rid the game of some of the big problems. They have to get better at that at some point in development, I think, or else people are always going to have this picture or this idea about New World is where it's really buggy. It always has problems. You know what I mean? There's always some quality of life things, and they have made giant leaps in the past year. They have made me and you both have played the game since launch. The game has came a long way since then. We all know that. But to people from the outside looking in, the game is the same game. It's always got these problems, these bugs, these exploits. It always has, you know what I mean, these flaws in design that create like a bad like day-to-day play experience. These are things that I do think at some point, and whether it is a paid expansion or not, they do have to resolve these. That's, you know what I mean? Or else the game is going to stay in the same, like the same size that it is right now, which population at this point is not great.
No,
compared
it's
to.
not. Well, I think that's a good, very like quick topic. Is what do you think the population is going to do for New World? I know this isn't in our show notes, but now that you say that, it's like it has been in a very interesting trajectory to watch because there was all this hype from Brimstone, and I listen, man. I understand these people are humans. I understand they need a break. I understand they need vacation too. But it seems like it was a very inopportune time to like step away from the game for what seemingly is like a month now of nothing happening. Whenever there was a lot of momentum going in from Brimstone, there was a lot of momentum with New World from Forged in from the RTA from Return to Eternum. There was all this momentum in New World. The numbers were climbing, things were good. There was a lot of hype around it, and then we had a few game-breaking bugs that came in. Those bugs just lingered forever and ever and ever. And I understand, again, they need vacation too, but at the same time, man, like, I feel like there's a level of like sacrifice if you're trying to make this successful game. You need to capitalize on that hype and momentum and like put forth a foot to say, look, we're here, we're working on this game, we are dedicated to New World to make it better. And instead there was silence for what is now like a very long time. And those game breaking bugs, Red, like, to me, that should have been like, we call somebody up off vacation, you come fix these bugs, because that was awful. I listen, I understand. I know that's probably being pretty critical because, again, I know they want vacation too. I want vacation as well. But whenever you have bugs that are that game breaking and that detrimental to PvP, I didn't want to go into OPR, and I know my entire chat was complaining about it. Nobody wanted to go into OPR and play in PvP. It was terrible. You got to go fix those things, and that's where this negative reputation begins to stem from. It's like, if those things don't get fixed, they don't get squashed, they come back, they introduce new bugs. These bugs aren't fixed. All this quality of life stuff is still lingering. It's just like all this stuff piling up, but it starts to put a little bit of a bad taste in people's mouths, you know?
Well, and they did such a good job with bringing people back on the fresh starts and from the Brimstone. And
it's an excellent marketing push to get all this hype going on. It's crazy good.
Well, yeah, and you look at, as a content creator, as a person in the community, the hopes were that the game would retain a lot more information, or a lot more players this time around, right? Because it's always more fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
With more people on the server. It's always more fun to stream when there's more people in chat, more people that are interested in getting into New World, more people that are playing New World. And that's kind of the system of the, of the game, you know what I mean? Of video games right now is, you do want hype. You want a player base that's sustained and people that are actually there enjoying the game, being ambassadors for the game, speaking highly on the game. And it was very hard during that period specifically to convince people to stay with the game. You know what I mean? There was the duping problems on the fresh starts, which that was a big reason why everybody played the fresh starts, or to get away from the duping economy.
Unfortunate.
It was a very unfortunate thing to happen. And then obviously the bug you're speaking about was the exploit on the back bar. They were able to utilize their passives and some of their buffs from their back bar weapon to create these crazy combos of damage. And it was just really bad timing. The game had captured so much hype at that point, and then for all those things to happen were really unfortunate. And we're both obviously big fans of the game. We're fans of New World, and from that perspective, it is unfortunate to have seen that happen when they did such a good job at bringing people back to kind of go back into the same rut that they were in before.
Yeah, it was disappointing, I think, to watch that happen. And it's disappointing to watch the numbers continue to fall now. And it's understandable. I understand why people are kind of bouncing out, because everybody got tired. Like, there wasn't a lot. Brimstone was a massive update. It was huge. But now Brimstone was at the beginning of, when was that? The beginning of November?
Yeah.
Something like that. The beginning of November, and then it's just been completely dry since. And I understand that was such a huge patch. We can't ask for things all the time. But just getting things fixed and adjusted, or some quality of life things, would be great. And then again, this all goes back to this Forged in Eternum, why some features are hard. They're talking about how just these things, they kind of poke fun at, like, well, how about you just add this into the game? They kind of poke fun at that and then talk about how hard it is to implement those things in the game. And we get it. I think as players, we get it. But as players, we also there's a lot of passionate players that play New World, and they just want to see things get better. And it seems like the pace at which things happen, it seems to be a little bit slow to me.
Well, here's what I truly believe, and this is something that I think is, they probably know. I'm not a dev, obviously. I'm I'm just a guy. But the thing about it is really like the live server should be the most important thing. Not new features, not the PTR, because our buddy Five Head Gaming, he put up a video about the PTR that was very interesting as well, which another thing that kind of creates a negative context around testing the game and not having the changes implemented into the game before it hits live. The live server should be held to the highest, most standard. Nothing should hit the live server until the bugs that have been reported and that have that people knew about, it should never touch the live server until those things are worked out. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of tripping them up right now, is some of the bugs that were big, that kind of did have a lot to do with the people getting away from the game, had been reported in the PTR before they actually hit live. And that to me is pretty unacceptable, especially the game-breaking ones. I believe it was cited that a lot of the weapon backbar bug was reported in the PTR and in the forums. And to me, like, that's where they need to get. They need to get live to a place where it's stable. Maybe there are balance issues in weapons. Maybe there are some features that are lacking that the game needs to be added. But at least the game in its current iteration doesn't have a game-breaking bug, does not have some sort of exploit that's ruining wars and OPRs. They need to get there. They need to get to this baseline where the live client is in a really good place. Sure, some of the weapons may not be viable at PvE or PvP. Maybe we are looking for, gear sets or a raid or something like that. But at the very least, that the game is in a place where people don't feel cheated when they play a game mode, a big game mode like wars or OPRs. You know what I mean? So that in my opinion, that should be the baseline. Just get the game to where, everybody knows, like, there are some issues with the game and features and everything like that, but we all know that the game doesn't have any crazy bugs that are affecting, like, the current versions of New World.
Yeah, because everybody right now is always looking over their shoulder for the next dupe or the next thing that's going to happen to destroy the game, and a lot of people are hoping for that. I mean, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, obviously. I know you are too, but a lot of people are kind of hoping that. And then there's a lot of players that are kind of looking over, thinking, well, the next thing that happens, I'm gone. Like, I can't handle this anymore. I've heard that a lot too. Like, I can't do this much anymore, man. The next thing that happens, the next big bug or game breaking thing that happens, like, I'm gone. Like, I can't deal with this anymore. So. Yeah, I agree. If it's going to continue to bleed players, it'll continue to be almost like a niche MMO. Yeah, unless some of those things are looked at and adjusted. I do agree. It's unfortunate, but anyway, enough about that, dude. I'm done ranting.
Well, I mean, I think we're both kind of guilty of it on this episode. But the thing is, dude, is one of those things is like, we're in a place where it's like, I just want to be honest with people. If something bad is happening in the game, if the game isn't enjoyable, I try to be transparent about it. I think it's what the New World team would want. I think it's what everybody in the community would want. I think it's what me and you both want to portray. So it's like, I think this time in New World is pretty down. You know what I mean? There isn't a lot of reasons to be excited about New World right now, which is unfortunate, but there it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, speaking of one of those things, like, there is a new community team member that was on one of the Forged in tournaments. I know you didn't watch this one either, but her name is Amber, or Finny, I think is what they call her. So now she says she has experience in esports tournaments. She worked on a lot of mobile games as well, and she says she wants to do more events through 2023. So this is I guess this is the question to wrap things up, huh? Is like, what events would we want to see in game from them to, like, keep things more lively? Not necessarily seasonal events, but like events that are and maybe in between there, like dueling tournaments or stuff of that nature. Would you want to see those come in? Like, what events would you want to see in New World, man? Like community, not community held events, like official events.
Well, so it's tough because, there are some people that are pretty good out there that are putting out events, like, community made events. I think they're, I had the opportunity to host a 3v3 tournament. I thought it was a ton of fun. I hosted it with Black Swan, who's another content creator. I've done some housing events, like, people. A Trick, I think Trick has done a PvP tournament, a dueling tournament. There's a lot of things that are going on out there that are interesting, that are community made, that are being done by community leaders. I would like to see them support those people that do the events, as opposed to them do official events, right? I would like to see them help bring in people from the community to help put on events that do keep people, keep people interested and active in the game. But I don't know, man. To be honest, like, esports, like, the
New World's not an esports game.
This game isn't balanced for that.
I'll be the person to say
the
it.
balance. The game isn't balanced.
I'll say it. Yeah.
The balance it's not balanced enough for that sort of thing. It would just create rage. There's some broken solo builds, and honestly, I don't think the game should be set. Balanced around solo play. Obviously, like, wars and OPR are pretty important features. So, yeah.
Well, even like 3v3, like if they added MMR or matchmaking, I've made this comment a bunch of times. I just don't think it's ready for that. I don't think having MMR or ELO or whatever in 3v3s right now is even ready. It's just not ready. There's a bunch of cheesy builds you can take in there that you can just basically dominate with. It's just it's not really made for that. So this is what I guess concerned me a little bit, is she was talking about her esports background in this situation. And I'm like, well, I'm not sure. Like, sure, I'm all for getting things in for PvP and the PvP community. Let's go. Like, dueling tournaments and stuff like that are fun and engaging and fun to do. But esports is not anywhere even in the stratosphere for New World right now. Like, it's not even close, man. I think if they try to make some sort of esport out of New World, which they're not, I'm just like speculating, I guess, and it's probably not even anywhere near that. I think her experience background was just in esports, and she's probably not even talking about bringing esports into New World at all. But it just, like, that comment, it's one of those things where it's like, man, it's just not there, man. Like, New World is not that competitive of an MMO. It's not that competitive of a PvP MMO. It's just not. Like, it's fun. It's enjoyable. Sure. There's people that are very good at it. Yes. But on a hyper competitive level, it is not there, man. It's just not. It is not in a spot that is anywhere near esports ready or like hyper competition type of situation. It is just not that type of game.
Well, and that goes back to the other thing. Like, let's focus on getting the basics of New World, like, in a really good place before you try to do something like this. But hopefully the events are, like, more fun events. Maybe not like PvP esport related, but I always think like transmog or housing competitions, or maybe like M10 times. Like, that's a really cool thing that obviously I think leaderboards will bring to the table. This is actually a leaderboard we skipped over. Was something I've always enjoyed, like the Race to World First and WoW. I think that's a really fun event to watch. I like the idea of speed running mutations and people trying to fight for the best time and stuff like that. Those sort of events are usually pretty good, right? As long as there's not some exploit that gets the time, helps them reduce their time or whatever. I think that could be a positive thing, and the community could have a lot of fun with. But we'll see, man. Obviously, it couldn't hurt to have events, but I would really, at this point, I would like to see them stray away from maybe some of the PvP vibes of like an esports thing, because the game's definitely not there at this point. And maybe never will be. I don't know. We'll see. Balancing is tough. I would admit that for sure, especially when every class can use every weapon, or every person can use every weapon. It's going to be really challenging to have a meta that isn't just a couple weapons.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And then you balance something for something like a super competitive 3v3 arena, that's going to scuff things for everything else. So it's like, how do you ever get to that point?
Right. Because if you balance healing for 3v3 arenas, then
scuff for wars,
scuff for wars and OPR,
scuff for expeditions. Yeah.
Yep. And it kind of is one of those things like, well, yeah, there's a lot of weapons in the game that it just pose problems across multiple game modes. So very challenging to do. And that's why I think you agree, New World might not be ever eligible for some sort of esports setting. So.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah,
There's
it's
plenty
okay.
of other games out there that are super hyper competitive in that nature, and I think New World has like competitive enough in with like PvP. But to me, I've always been of the kind of the mindset that if I'm gonna go play just strictly PvP, it's not gonna be an MMO. Like if I'm gonna go
Right.
play PvP and I'm gonna really try to compete on a level in PvP, I'm gonna go play something like League of Legends or some other like esport ready MMO that are not MMO, but some other esports ready game that I can go compete only in PvP. Like I know a lot of people play New World strictly for the PvP or an MMO strictly for PvP. That's cool. If you want to play it for that reason, that's fine. But I think whenever you come into an MMO, you have to understand it's an MMO, right? Like this is not it's not an esport, right? Like an MMO, and I know there's other sport, like I think WoW, don't they have an esports scene?
Yeah, they have a arena, the 3v3s, but again, they have classes, not like an open system. So like,
Right.
classes are limited to their abilities. They balance class against class versus weapon against weapon. The weapon, I think WoW's a completely different game at this point, for sure. I think most people would agree.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't know. The point that I'm trying to make though is that I personally don't play an MMO to be an esport, man. That's just not what I play it for. I play it because it's an MMO. I want to enjoy all the other aspects of the game. There's so much going on, so many moving parts. And so to me, I'm fine if it's never an esport. I do want there to be competitive PvP in the MMO, hands down. I really enjoy PvP, but esport ready? Nah, man. I'm good.
Yep. All right, man. Well, that's about it. If someone did link something in chat that said there's a big update on the way. That's all that it says. That just confirmed.
Okay.
The current PTR is more of an intermediate patch coming to live servers within the next week or so, mainly focused on quality of life bugs and leaderboards. Beyond that, we have a pretty big announcement and sizable PTR update that will follow quick on its heels.
Okay, this is great news. All right.
So leaderboard soon, that's what I told Chad. I said as long as the leaderboard's is like a week-long PTR and they just get it in the game, I have no qualm with that, right? As long as that is on the side. Obviously, some bugs that are in the game could be fixed, but I mean they got the back weapon bug. That was the big problem in the game. So hopefully we get an announcement on what's going to be in that sizable PTR patch soon. And then next episode's not us complaining for an hour. That would be pretty good. Bordy, it's good to be with you today. Obviously, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, man, just come hang out on Twitch, twitch.tv/BDLG.
Yes.
That's it.
Yep. And I'm Redbird. You can find me at twitch.tv/Redbird. And again, guys, we appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. Don't forget to check out our websites, newworldfans.com and newworld-map.com. And keep your eyes open on studioloot.com soon. Hashtag soon. Or, we obviously we got the flagship website that's sitting out there that we're looking to move into 2023. So make sure you keep your eyes over there as well. All right, Bordy. Again, thanks for joining me and everybody that's listened and supports the podcast. We'll see you guys on another episode of New World to Go.